Good morning, good morning. How's it going, guys? How are ya? Good to have you, 803. Trump's in the office, so it seems, and gold is dropping. What did I tell you? I told you gold was going to be dropping. And, I mean, it was inevitable that gold was going to drop. Remember we were talking about how the banks need to offload their positions. They were getting near maximum size. Remember this chart here, up here? 366,000, right? Maximum size 408. Previously 387 up here, and then another rally up. They would have to take profits, which was going to fuel a move to the downside. So look what's happening now. Beautiful. It's a big, strong drop that we're getting. Big, strong drop. So we got a lot of markets to cover. Lots of things moving, just as we suspected there would be. So we got the drop in gold. And how's the dollar faring? Strong rally. Yeah. Well, there was a lot of talk about if Trump won, that it'd be strong for the dollar, right? A lot of talk about that. So the dollar is rallying. Euro dropping hard. Wow. Incredible. Incredible. Well, it looks like, after all, that monthly supply is coming into play. This now opens up for a move down, like, quite dramatically. This can go really far, okay? Really far. Pound, you know, yeah, it's reacting as well, coming right towards that that demand zone on the weekly chart, and we're inside the weekly demand on euro. So we could see a reversal here form, that's for sure. And silver, remember we were talking about silver breaking the ascending trend line, and that would be a signal for a move down. In fact, in our level 3 sessions, when we were talking with level 3 students, we were talking about how price was coming down, and I put a little pumpkin on the chart here because I told them if price doesn't get down to this demand zone by Halloween, then we're likely going to have a break of this demand zone and price is going to drop. Because, you know, we were interested in getting in long silver, but we needed to have the right setup. And the right setup would be having a nice uptrend here on silver and having price come down into that area of demand at the right time. And the right time would be coming into contact with that trend line and the demand zone at the same time. So, and it had to happen on or before Halloween, and it didn't. So this is what ends up happening. So we spoke about that with the level, with all students who have access to level 3. And we did it in our level 3 session. So now this is what we have. We have a lot of weakness here on silver. So if we look at just the daily time frame, right? Let's open this up. If we look at just the daily time frame, this is what we have. We used to have an ascending structure like this, okay? Now it's going into neutral mode, okay? Where it's going to break out of that structure. Now, there's two elements that are going to really transform this from ascending into neutral, okay? One is to have the break of the trend line, which is what I was pointing out yesterday with the red candle that was starting to be produced here, okay? That's one, that the trend line would have to be broken through. But we also have institutional demand that price is sitting in here, okay? So if we get that taken out, because as long as demand's in play, there's always the risk that price can rally up, okay? Is it high odds? No, it's not high odds, because what's happening here is retail traders were drawing that trend line as well, okay? This one coming up here. And so when price got down to that trend line, they were likely buying silver. Now, we knew we had to buy on or before Halloween, but price had to be in the demand zone. As you could see, it fell short of hitting the demand zone. Okay? That's how we knew it was likely it was going to break. But retail traders were buying there. So this is the banks pushing silver against retail traders who are buying here. Okay? So retail's buying here, and this is the banks selling silver. So what's going to happen is this could break through and remove their buying area. Okay, it's very likely their buying area is going to be removed. So I was telling you that there's two things that need to happen to put this into neutral territory. One is the break of the ascending trend line, which has already happened. And two is the break of this demand. Once those two things are taken out, those are the two key elements that would have produced a move to the upside in silver. You remove those, that's it. There's nothing to push price to the upside. We're dealing with the daily chart, right? So this is a short term. This is short term. So the fact that the ascending trend line is breaking and institutional demand is breaking through, let's just close that. That's telling us that short-term momentum is to the downside right now, okay? So once that breaks through, it'll enter into neutral territory. Could it enter into bearish territory? It's possible. We would be looking for some type of a structure like this. Okay. But if it does create a bearish structure, the question is, what is this bearish structure going to be created for? What is it going to facilitate? In order to determine that, we need to look at one time frame higher to see what the chart is telling us. And we go at one time frame higher, and this is what we have. All right. So you could draw a trend line here. It's not the highest quality. I would do it like that. And let's see. Would we have an uptrend at this point? Yeah, somewhat. A weak uptrend. Funny, I'll just make a mention of this. Funny how we're getting this retracement after our target 2 gets hit, eh? It's interesting how that works. When you can locate targets using proper structures, historical structures, and you take them and you just forecast based on the existing structure and what time frame you know will end up playing out, it's incredible how accurate you can be in locating that. All right, so let's go back to the weekly chart. So if we have a descending structure being built here on the daily time frame, right? You have to understand that we're going to come up against an ascending trend line, right? But the thing is, if you look to the left, you'll notice that I don't have any demand zones here. So price hitting an ascending trend line, when there's no demand, there's nothing to support price, okay? The only people who are buying at an ascending trend line are retail traders. So it's a very good chance that when price, if price does get down to this trend line, we could see a break and have price drop even further because there's no demand until 28, okay, for the medium term, right? So short term, we're getting upward price action turning into neutral, potentially downward. So then we'll get downward structure being built for a shorter term move to the downside. And then we'll be coming up against ascending trend lines on the weekly time frame, and then we'll have to see what happens from there. So buying silver right now? No, sir. You should not be buying silver right now. We got to watch the daily chart to see what kind of structure it's going to end up building, whether or not it's going to build the downward structure. I mean, look at the 4-hour chart. Look at the 4-hour chart. We already have a move down, up, and down. So trend line, you know, I don't like this trend line. It's not very high quality. And let me see. Actually, it could be adjusted like this. And even this is not really a high quality trend line. You know what that means? When you draw a trend line like this and it's not high quality, Look at that, eh? There was a nice supply area right here that came into play. Wow, that's beautiful. Yeah. So what does that mean? It means the institutions are not focused on creating downward structures here on the 4-hour time frame. Okay. What's in play is more of what we have here on the daily chart. And this is why I was pointing this out. This is why it was so important what was going on here, because I really wanted you to focus in on what was in play. You know, at any moment in time, there's always something very pivotal that's in play, and it takes place on different time frames. Silver, it was the daily time frame. It was the break of this ascending trend line. It's the break of this demand zone that is the key. This was what is the focus for silver at this point. Okay. All right. Understand? Good morning, guys. How was my night? It was not bad. I had a good sleep. I wasn't watching any election stuff, if that's what you're asking. I slept well. I did not watch anything to do with the elections. Whatever was going to happen was going to happen in my mind, right? So Trump won. I can't say that, you know, I'm disappointed with that. I mean, not to say I'm a huge Trump fan or anything, but you know, pick the best of the two options. I would have to say Trump likely is the best. Why? I don't know. Some of the things he says make sense. Some of the things he says don't make sense, but I think he makes more sense than the other one. That's just my opinion. So whatever, you know, there's a lot of things that he does that I don't like, but we'll see how things go, right? But the market's liking this. The market is loving this. I mean, have you taken a look at the S&P? Yeah, look at our buddies over here. You know, they're pretty happy with the markets. You know, remember weekly time frame. We were looking at the weekly time frame. What did we have? Remember I told you the market always knows what's going to happen. Look, we had an ascending trend line. Okay. We had an uptrend. And we had institutional demand zone here. Okay. So what happens? Price comes up, contacts our target, came down, institutional demand, and we're buying. So this tells me continuation, okay? Because medium-term buying is taking place, and medium-term means many days, many weeks. So if demand's in play on the weekly time frame, that means we could expect many days, many weeks of upside, okay? So with that being said, you switch it over to the daily time frame, and what do we have? Look, this was a very important area of supply here. Okay? Very important. Let's just say it this way. If price was to drop, they would have used this area of supply to facilitate that drop. Okay? To break through the weekly demand zone that was right here. They would have done that because that's how price plays out. So the fact that they are removing this area of supply, it's telling us that on a short-term time frame, they're not focusing on selling this market right now. They're focusing on buying. Okay? They're removing short-term selling and coming in with short-term buying. So this is strong. So what we're going to end up having here is a new ascending trend line. But at this point, we're going to have a weak uptrend, okay? Let me change this to broken. Let's see, right there. So this trend line broken, right, was broken here. Now the upward trend is being reclaimed. So we have 0.1 here, a peak, a drop, 0.2, and we have a move to the upside. So far, this is a weak uptrend. It's not a very strong uptrend. What does that mean? Well, I don't want to go into too much detail because this is what we teach at the school, are these details. But the thing is that buying is originating from down here. Okay? That's what the buying is taking place from the big institutions. It's very low. Okay? It's at the point where price is interacting with the ascending trend line. So that's very low. We don't want low buying. We want to know that after this move, there's continued buying. Okay? Because, yeah, this is a nice move to the upside. Beautiful. But we want to know that it's continuing to buy. Okay? So we have to wait patiently because, yeah, two big momentum candles to the upside, but are they going to continue pushing price higher? Who knows? So we'll wait and see if new demand comes into the market, okay? That's what we're waiting for, is new demand. When new demand comes into the market, then we'll locate it, we'll draw it out, and then we will be planning trades based off of that. But so far, I mean, this is telling me the market wants to go higher. Our long-term target, too, has been contacted, overstretched a bit, but does that mean it can't go higher? No, it doesn't mean it can't go higher, okay? We have support by big institutions buying here at the weekly demand zone. So likely we're going to see this continue higher, okay? Let's take a look at NASDAQ. I'm interested to see. Still holding supply, but this is a good sign. Remember, we've been talking about how we are in a range here with demand, right? And supply up here. And one of them needs to break. Well, it was just turning over, and now we get the reversal. So I'm watching to see if this breaks. All right. Otherwise, pressure will continue to be to the downside because we have supply. Yeah, we can have short-term move into selling pressure, but it could run out and it can turn over. Okay. So I'm not going to get too excited here. I will wait until that structure breaks, that supply breaks, new demand comes into the market, and then I will be sure that the NASDAQ is going to move higher. Okay. The Dow Jones. Wow. Beautiful. Remember, I had this supply area here, and I labeled it need this out for longs. So it's out. Okay. It's out. It's looking good. Looking very good for continued move to the upside. But again, like I was saying, you know, long-term structure, really good. Not bad. In fact, I would be inclined to say that this is the latest area of demand here. Yeah, we had a magic zone down here. What's that mean? It means that if price was to drop down into this area, we would have been buying. It also means when a magic zone is created, the chances of price continuing higher is extremely high. Extremely high. The magic zone is like the foundation of something, right? If somebody, you know, what's a good way to put it? It's like if somebody comes into town, into a small town, and they start, and you're like, are they going to stay here? Or are they leaving? Are they just coming for a little bit and then they're going to leave? What are they up to? If they start building the foundation of a home, you're pretty much assured that they're likely going to stay, right? Because they're building a home. You could see it. They're building the foundation of a home. It's the same thing. When we locate one of these zones that I call magic zones, because they hold like magic, then we know, you know, once they move away and create that area of buying, we know with a high degree of certainty that price is going to continue going higher. Okay. What we'd like to see is a pullback to that area so we could buy at a lower point in the market, but not all the time does it happen. So when we get the signal to buy, we just start buying. And, you know, when we got the signal on the S&P to start buying, we started buying. We bought a lot of stocks. We have a lot of stocks in our portfolio, and the vast majority of them are working. The ones that haven't worked were the ones that I was trying to time the entry to the exact turning point, you know, on a daily time frame, and it didn't work because it worked on a higher time frame, you know, but they're all going up. Those are the times that I got stopped out, was just being a little bit too greedy, a little bit too precise, wanting to be too exact, and then it doesn't work out. But other than that, the stocks in the portfolio are just flying. We added more to our positions yesterday, so if you're a member, you should take a look at that. Any markets you guys want to take a look at before I let you guys go? We're running a little bit long today, but I wanted to cover these markets with you in more detail than we usually do, since it's like a lot of big news. So I'll say this. Look, the Dow is looking good for a continued move to the upside. This is a low quality uptrend. You know, not bad, but like not the greatest. It looks like it's being supported by institutional buying. Short term, you know, we're pushing up. We're going to have an ascending trend line. It's not going to be high quality. Let me show you. If I connect this trend line here like this, it's going to be, it's going to be a weak uptrend. It's not going to be high quality, okay? So it needs to be supported by short-term buying. There we go. It needs to be supported by short-term buying. All we're getting now is a peak above previous highs. That doesn't mean anything. It's just a little peak. For those that are breakout traders, they're so excited right now. They've got their orders. When price breaks through previous highs, they're buying. That's, you know, that's their strategy. I don't do stuff like that. To me, that's extremely risky, because all we're doing is just peaking past the previous peak. We don't have any real established ascending structures here. Okay, there's nothing strong here to be able to know with any degree of certainty that price is going to continue higher on the shorter time frame. So we need proper structures to be built here. So the trend to the upside right now is very weak. We need to see new demand coming into the market, new structures being built, and then when the trends are higher quality, then we can trade those. Okay. So those are the markets. That's the markets. We went through silver. Look, it's just about to break through that area of demand. Gold retracing. So I'll let you know. So yes, gold is very weak right now. Beautiful, right? Very good. But soon we're going to be coming into this institutional demand zone. That's at 26.57. Okay, so yes, lots of weakness. Remember how I was pointing out? Once certain areas get broken through, then the momentum's really going to kick in, okay? Listen to the words I use. There's a reason why I'm explaining it the way I am. Is because there's nothing to stop price from dropping from here to here once that demand zone breaks. You see how that demand was holding and price was just sitting. Once it breaks, it's like opening up the dam. You know, there's a crack in the dam, it starts to leak, all of a sudden it opens, that's it. It runs, the momentum kicks in. But until somewhere, right? There's another dam down the ways, and that's that area of demand here on the weekly time frame. So when we come into that, expect this momentum to die. This momentum that's free flowing to the downside right now is going to die. It's going to die there. At that point, I'll be watching to see what kind of price structure is built off of that on the lower time frames, whether it looks like banks are starting to accumulate a position or distribute more of their longs, because we could definitely see this heading lower. But we'll wait and see what that reaction is like. Okay, we have to respect it. It's it's a decent demand zone. We have to respect it when it comes into play. Period. Okay. All right. So let's go back to the euro. Euro dropping. So it's coming into demand. Like I said, okay, expect some movement from it, okay? It's just like the pound, like I was mentioning earlier, with the demand zone right there. We have to expect some kind of a movement from it. So a lot of people are going to be excited. They're going to be shorting the euro right now because of the news, and the dollar's going to go up forever, and Trump's going to make the world better again and all that stuff. So this is retail traders coming in last minute, shorting right inside that demand zone. So I wouldn't be surprised if for the rest of the day and for the rest of the week, for that matter, we see a reversal to the upside. That means gold can continue dropping until it hits its demand. And now we'll have the euro hitting demand, pound hitting demand, gold hitting demand, right? And then the theme might change to upside momentum on those assets. And then retail traders are going to be like, What's going on? I thought the euro was going to drop and the dollar was going to go up. You know, Trump is president now. Then they're going to be confused, and then everything's going to settle, and then there's going to be the banks coming back in to regain control of the markets and start driving it again. So my idea is just be patient. Like I've said before, there's a very good chance that the euro drops even further, considering the fact that we have a monthly area of supply in play. But I'm not going to make any rash decisions because a lot of crazy movements lately. So I want to wait until everything settles down. Wait until the banks start coming in and creating proper structure. When the banks create proper structure, that's when it's clear. The textbook setups are there. We take the trades and they just work. It's like magic, right? But in this type of scenario, trades don't work, okay? I posted a trade yesterday, a trade idea, and I threw some money at it. Not a lot because it was, you know, risky conditions. But I thought, hey, it's worth a try. But it wasn't a textbook setup. It was during an election. It probably wasn't the best idea I ever threw out there, but whatever, right? And it didn't work. Price came against it, stopped me out in like 2 seconds. So that was fun. And yeah, so I'm going to refrain from doing that type of stuff. I'm just going to wait and be patient. When I wait and I'm patient and I wait for market structure to be built and it's clear as day, those trades always work for me, right? Sometimes I get bored. I'm human. And I look for more risky type of trades. But I'm not going to do that this time. Okay, so that's it. Not bad. We went quite a half an hour or so. Good. We covered a lot. This is like a session that I do at the school. So I hope you guys appreciate it. If you do appreciate it, hit the like button down below. You know the drill. And share the video with others. There's a lot of traders out there that don't know what the heck they're doing. They don't know how to read the markets. They'd love to see this type of analysis where they're actually getting real insight and, you know, help them to clear the confusion from all the other nonsense that's out there. Anyways, if you could do that for me, it would be appreciated. And I'm sure your fellow traders would appreciate it too. All right, that's it. Thanks, everybody. You take care. Have a good one.